Welcome to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Enjoy my video.
I want to start, obviously, so Mortal Kombat 1 has been the biggest thing on IGN this week. The announcement trailer was huge, but you did have your announcement spoiled a little bit by your parent company's CEO on an earnings call. So I just, like, I know you don't want to talk out of school about the guy signing the checks necessarily, but like, what was your and the team's reaction when that happened? Because obviously that was not something that you were expecting from a few weeks ago. Just took off, huge numbers. And so what was the mood of the team like that day? Like, I'm sure you were expecting it to do well, but like how was the vibe on the team when this announcement trailer, which, you know, is such a good cinematic trailer, really sets up the game really well. So how is the team feeling that?
Never held on to a game in terms of talking about it for so long that we have with this one. But at the same time, the response was so big. It was bigger than our Mortal Kombat 11 trailer, and I thought we were never going to top that. So that was I think to some extent players haven't seen a new Mortal Kombat announcement for so long. It was just building up for so many years and it just kind of culminated with that video. So we're really excited about the
Well, and I want to ask you about the short window here, waiting so long to announce the game. The last major AAA game example I can think of that had such a short window between announcing it and releasing it was Fallout 4, and that's a long time ago at this point. So, you know, what was the thinking with? Is it just that, like, the game sells itself at this point? Like, you know, it is pretty unusual for a big blockbuster game like this to be announced and then it's out 3-4 months later.
Yeah, well, if you recall, we announced Mortal Kombat 11 at the Game Awards, right? And that's like in December. And then the game came out in like May.
Yeah.
So it's not that unusual for us. It might be a little bit shorter, but there's so much more information that we are going to be communicating to everybody as far as game modes, additional characters, and all that. It's gonna be a dense next few months.
Well, I did want to ask you too, like, you guys, NetherRealm had alternated between Mortal Kombat and Injustice for a good little while there, and so I don't think anybody would have been surprised if you had announced Injustice 3. So was Injustice considered, or what was kind of the reasoning behind, you know, going right back into Mortal Kombat?
There was a number of factors, some of which I can talk about, some of which I probably shouldn't. But we did go to a new graphics engine, Unreal. We really wanted to be careful with COVID and all that stuff, and everybody staying safe and all that. So there was a bunch of variables involved that eventually we realized, okay, let's do another Mortal Kombat game. And, you know, hopefully we'll get back to the Injustice games.
So the door's not closed.
Oh, not at all.
Not moving forward.
Not at all.
All right, good to know. Now, you mentioned the new engine, Unreal. So is it Unreal Engine 5, or are you guys building off of 4 for this?
You know what? We're actually continuing to grab new ones. I'm not sure where we're gonna stop there, but we've certainly taken a huge leap.
I mean, it looks amazing.
We were using Unreal 3 before, and a very modified Unreal 3. But you know, Unreal 4 certainly has opened the doors to a lot of new features that we're really trying to exploit. But we're continuing to evaluate.
I mean, you know, you've left the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 behind here. This is a new gen game only. You know, what has that opened up for your artists, your animators, and even potentially maybe gameplay design? I'm not sure if even the technology can open up things there too.
A big part is this latest generation of consoles have, you know, the super fast access, and you know, I've always felt like that was the most underappreciated new feature of the consoles, right? It's just accessing memory so quickly.
Yeah, the NVMe drives.
Exactly, and that's really going to let us make hyper-realistic backgrounds and characters that we can actually load in a reasonable amount of time and get to the fight real quickly. That was a big part. It's really helped us in terms of how much fidelity we can have in our environments and characters.
So I got to ask you, like, I probably more than any other game, I love watching Mortal Kombat. It is just delightful to watch, and obviously the fatalities are a big part of that. Are there any fatalities that don't make the cut at NetherRealm? Like, what? We've seen so many crazy things. We've seen several more here today. Like, what doesn't make the cut?
There are plenty that don't make the cut. It's funny. Everybody kind of asks, how do you guys come up with the fatalities? And there's a bit of a committee. And anybody's welcome to submit fatality ideas, but then there's a committee, and then when they came up with one, they'll have an artist make a storyboard of it, and then they'll send it to me. And unfortunately, there are some that I was just like, nope, we're not going there, and then send it back.
Like, it's too much?
Oh, yeah.
Even for Mortal Kombat?
Absolutely. And so I kind of feel like I'm like the big party pooper, right? Because they go, oh, come on, we've done worse than that. I go, no, we haven't. There's always
so you have the final say.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because one thing again that I love about Mortal Kombat is, I think its tone has evolved over the years, and it's at this point now where it's so over the top, and it is violently disgusting. Like and I don't mean that as a criticism, but it's sort of cheeky and funny enough where it doesn't seem like senators and congress people are knocking at your door anymore. Like, how do you guys find that balance?
There is kind of an unwritten tone that is kind of governs everything. And one way to kind of demonstrate that is the majority of people's reactions to the fatalities is laughter.
Yeah.
It's not like they saw a horror movie or something and, oh my God, and they're scared. They just start laughing.
Yeah.
And so when we get that reaction, we know, okay, we're still in the zone of what Mortal Kombat's intention is.
Now, there's a pretty strong case to be made that Mortal Kombat, the brand, is absolutely bigger than it ever was. The numbers on IGN anecdotally bear that out, which I think is a massive testament to you and the team who've been at this for so long. But when you look back, were there any low points in the long history of this franchise where you thought, maybe this thing is starting to run out of steam? Have you ever hit those low points with this?
Yeah, there were a couple of games that I wasn't involved with that kind of had their challenges, but we were going through transitions with Midway Games and whatnot, and but once we got our footing again, and especially with Mortal Kombat 9, 9, 10, and 11 all sold better than any of the previous ones.
Wow.
So which is really scary, and so for me, I'm nervous just because there's such this build up.
The bar keeps getting raised.
Yeah, it keeps getting raised, and so I really got to kind of keep telling myself we can still sell a ton of games, but we don't have to break every record every single time.
Is it at the point where the corporate overlords are going to be unhappy if it doesn't sell an 8-figure amount of copies?
I don't think so. I think a lot of that is just kind of self-inflicted pressure. I certainly put that on myself as well. But we always love to see, the fact that our last 3 games have been the biggest sellers of their time. It's a nice feather in our cap.
On that note, again, you've been with this for so long. Where do you still find the personal creative inspiration to keep going on this? I genuinely can't think of another prominent game developer that's been with one franchise exclusively. You've done Injustice as well, but where you've been working on Mortal Kombat games for your entire career, for 30 years. How do you sort of keep finding new creativity to tap into?
Yeah, well, I had originally started, I did a few pinball machines, and then I did a few arcade games, and then started doing the Mortal Kombat games. And our team has grown from 4 basically for the first game to the hundreds that we have now. And when you have that many people who are also passionate about it, there's ideas coming in from every angle that you can imagine. So there is a studio full of brilliant people at NetherRealm who've been playing, who some were born after Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat came out.
Yeah.
And so they have fresh ideas that are coming from a completely different generation. And I think that's a big part of why Mortal Kombat, it's not one idea coming from one person, right? It's a whole studio of ideas.
All right, a couple more, I'll let you go here. You guys have brought in some well-known Mortal Kombat 11 pros on the team at NetherRealm here, like Dragon, for instance. So can you talk about how helpful it's been to have that pro level of feedback when developing this game?
It's invaluable. And in our previous games, as far back as Mortal Kombat 9, we would actually fly in some of those players, and they'd stay at a hotel for a week or so, and they would just dissect the game, show us bugs, show us infinites, give us suggestions, and that kind of input is invaluable. Some of them are here now, and they're going to be playing the game for the first time. So we've really been fortunate to have had that kind of expertise play into the game.
All right, last question, Ed Boon. What is your favorite fatality in Mortal Kombat 1?
In Mortal Kombat 1 or the 1992 Mortal Kombat?
The new game of the new one.
My favorite one hasn't been shown yet.
Okay,
but
Which character?
Probably Scorpion. But I think of this one, I would say Katana's fans were they're above and below the blender. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was cracking up over that one.